The upcoming life insurance framework reforms are set to take hold on the 1st of July this year, and many life insurers and risk advisors have already started working towards making the transition. Here with me today to discuss the regulatory framework and how it's likely to shape and shift the different advice channels is a very familiar face, Brad Fox, from the Association of Financial Advisors. Welcome, Brad.
Good morning.
Thank you. So we've seen a number of big events take place on a regulatory level last year with the Trowbridge Report recommendations and the Life Insurance Working Group, whatnot. And then we had the LIF reforms. They were released to the industry. Can you give me a snapshot of where that's left both risk advisors and insurers?
In a state of change. And I don't think there's too many people across the whole advice profession now that since FOFA began that haven't had to change and revisit their business model. And as we look at advisors now, I've been really, pleased to see in the latter part of last year, the number of advisors that have had very long experience in their current business model starting to revisit how they're going to adjust to the life insurance framework. And, you know, when I consider the challenge that is for them, it's not easy. You know, if you've had 10 years, 20 years, longer, doing something in a way that actually works for your clients, works for your business, to now need to change that is challenging. So that's our challenge, is how do we help advisors get through that from both the mindset and the knowledge of what it takes to change and the tools for them to work out what will work in their business model for them and their clients.
Absolutely. So the changes to advisors' commission structures was obviously a really big one last year that concerned many advisors and their businesses. What's the AFA's message for them this year?
If the wind's blowing and you're in a yacht, you have to sail according to the wind. You can't do nothing. You'll get blown off course. And that's really what this change is doing to advisors that have to adjust the commission model that they use. They can't do nothing. So they do need to change. What the numbers mean with the final changes that we were able to bring into the life insurance framework about how commissions are calculated, for an advisor that uses the hybrid today to the hybrid on the 1st of July, what they receive may actually go up. The majority of hybrids now are around 80% including GST in year one. Under the LIF, it's 88% including GST. The ongoing at the moment, usually about 20% including GST. In the LIF, it's going to be 22% including GST. So for some, they're actually going to see a revenue uptick where they've been using hybrids already. Now, for those adjusting from upfront, there's still going to be an adjustment of around about 10 to 15% of their upfront revenue lower in the first year. One of the things that most advisors haven't worked out is that because we've included the policy fee and the frequency loading along with the premium for the insurer to calculate the total cap, that's meant that even when we get it 60-20 in 2018, on the average policy, which is about $2,200, today's 80-20 pays $1,600 in year one. Under the LIF, it'll be $1,465. So it's only a reduction of $135 from today's hybrid to the 60-20 plus GST in the LIF. Plus, of course, the ongoing is much larger. So it's a big change, but they can get through it. They have to plan and they have to think like a business owner. They have to reinvent their business plan and their charging model to suit the environment that's been left to them.
Absolutely, that's something for them to think about, obviously, there. Now then, there's also the professional standards for advisors and the questions surrounding what that's supposed to look like. What do you think practice principles options will look like if they're told they need to complete a degree?
I don't think existing advisors are going to end up being told they need to complete a degree. When the draft legislation came out on the 4th of December, it did have wording in it that concerned us. Not only us, it concerned the FPA, the Self-Managed Super Fund Association. It even concerned Choice and Industry Super Australia, where forcing all of the existing advisors to go back and get a degree is not practical. It's certainly not practical in the time frame that the government has set for the professional standards to hit, if you like, an end state. So I don't think that's where we're going to end up. But the real question is, well, if it's not there, what's going to be the alternative to show that every advisor has reached degree standard? Because that's what the government wants to see. So not so much whether you've got a degree, I don't believe, it's whether you're at degree standard. So that could be the exam, it could be doing a designation like the FCHFP, it could be doing a master's, which you don't necessarily need a degree to go into those. So there are pathways that are going to be there. One thing for sure though, that advisors that only have a DFP are going to have to do more work, and the question remains whether that would be an advanced diploma plus an exam, or an advanced diploma plus an exam plus perhaps a designation, or moving into a master's. The government has been able to, with the drafting of the legislation, shift that decision from the government itself to this professional standard setting body. And the makeup of that is going to be, appears to be 7 directors, 1, the chairman, appointed by the minister, and the other 6 appointed by an industry consensus group, which will have consumer representatives in there, industry representatives, an ethicist and an academic. So it's going to be a big piece of work. What we want is, we would love to see certainty in the legislation when it happens, most likely in autumn, that tells existing advisors where their end position is, and not wait for this standard setting body. Because otherwise we'll lose all of 2016 when the government wants this completed end state by 2019. Yeah. We don't have the time to waste.
No, absolutely. Beautiful. So now there's a number of different touch points that you have with advisors throughout the year. How does the AFA plan to support its network in 2016?
We'll have our 3 linchpin events, which is the GenX Connect Tour, which kicks off in the second week of February, goes around the capital cities. Our July National Practitioner Roadshow, again around the 6 capital cities, and our conference in Canberra this year from the 5th to the 7th of October, which could be smack bang in the middle of election time, so it could be pretty interesting. But besides that, all of our communities of practice, so the GenX group, Inspire, Connecting Women in Advice, Leaders Forum for more mature businesses and experienced practice owners, run events around the state. So over the course of the year, we run around about 70 events every year. What we try to bring into those through our AFA curriculum is making sure that there's a rub between the theoretical knowledge and the practical application of that. I don't know about you, but I've been to plenty of great talks where you hear fantastic stuff, but you leave kind of with the idea but not knowing how to do anything with it. So with our sessions, we're trying to make them far more workshop based, where you get your hands dirty with the knowledge while you're there, so it becomes more practical to apply when you walk away.
Excellent. Well, I look forward to getting along to some of those events. Thanks so much for joining me today, Brad.
Cheers.